So we're now in this area. We've got 3 arches to do in here, and then we've got another 3 to do in those bays over there. These ones are all the way around, so we're bullnosing these bricks on the cutter, and these piers will be all nice and bullnosed all the way around, and then obviously that one will be bullnosed on this side because that's obviously the end pier. And these battens that I've sprayed, that represents the opening, obviously the arch. This represents the pier, and hence on all of them you can see, so that's the pier and obviously the pier on the end. So we've got gauge marks on these rods, taken off the existing, and put them on every stanchion and all the way around. Jake is in there doing the curved block work. So at the moment I am now setting up a profile on the inside, so I've just got to get gauge marks that correspond to the ones we just had a look at, and I'm now doing this gauge rod to go on this inside profile where I just put a pencil mark up, so I'll put that on there, and obviously the gauge marks I'm now putting on that rod will correspond with these ones, and then that just means that we can have a line on both sides, keep everything going upright. And the idea of having the profiles on here is this back wall has got to be millimetre perfect, because we have from this point here sliding doors that go all the way back and tuck into that little room where the blocks are stacked. So obviously we can't have any discrepancies on this inside wall, so hence them profiles. So that's where we are at the moment. And what we are going to do with these as well is, you can see these bricks are all reclaims, and they are all very kind of like mortar stained and a bit messy, and obviously when they go through the cutter they come out a little bit too clean and perfect, so we are going to put mortar on them. And this is slab level, so I've only got 2 quarters that are shown at the moment so I'll just rub them ones up, but other than that we're going to get all the ones that have come over cut, and we're going to a few days before we lay them, we're just going to stain them up with mortar, just so they're a little bit more in keeping with the main look of the bricks, which you can see are like this. So that's the plan. Right, I'll carry on getting this done, and then I'll transfer these marks, as I said, onto that one, and then I'll fix this in there, and that's the inside sorted. So we have a line up, but we have this just to identify, and I've just blocked off that bit and put that bit there, so hopefully that'll deter people trying to get through there, and also put a barrier up, so that should focus people if they are going to come in to use the little ramp, but that just highlights that there's a hazard. So that's what we're doing. So we've set out the piers, obviously using the battens, and we're now taking this side up. You can see that we are dirtying these up just so they don't look as nice and clean cut as that, because obviously the state of the bricks that we're using. When they get damp and everything, they do sort of like red up a lot, but obviously we just want to make sure that these bullnose ones that we're cutting kind of blend in. So as you can see, we're keeping to these gauge marks, as we said before, on every stanchion. Jakey's running in from the profile, like I said, just to make sure that we keep on that line all the way through the back, just to make sure when the sliding doors go in that there's nothing sticking out anyway. So we are waiting for someone to cut a load of halves for us, but we're just having to snap these. You see, keeping plumb points. get her down, stick the level on to the gauge mark, and then make sure that we are level on there. I think I need to clean my level. So this is where we're doing. So we're just taking these piers up with these bullnose bricks that have been done on the cutter for us, and we are putting mortar on them just to try and blend them in a little bit to the bricks that we're using, because as you can see, these bricks are all reclaims with obviously a lot of mortar on them still. So that's what we're now trying to do, just get them so that they look pretty much blended in nicely. You can see this other pair, we've just got this up to damp course height, so we're just 3/4 above ground level there, but you can just tell that they've still got the fresh cut on all of these. And we do have a little bit of a problem with water dripping in from the top, so we'll see how we can do that. So it's been a bit of a dark, dingy old day, and this is what Jake and I have been doing. So Jake's been on the inside here, and you can see how we look. We mentioned before about the profiles being so important to keep the back nice and plumb and with a good face plane. So as we mentioned before, there's the old gauge marks. So we're up to, I think we've got about 6 courses to get to spring point, and I am just going to break this side out with our faithful little tool. So obviously perps first. We're now obviously getting close to leaving off time. You can see these bricks, they do vary so much in gauge and in length. So you say you have your plumb points, and obviously we're plumbing up this one as well, but they vary so much that you have like nice joints, then sometimes you might even have to trim a brick, and then the next course you'll have like a 15mm joint on there. So obviously where we're aiming to have 8mm, so they do vary a huge amount. Anyway, as I've said in many other videos, this is so much better than a chariot. So if you're going to go spend, I don't know how much they are really, £15–20 maybe on a chariot, just get yourself a bit of metal and cut that down to the depth that you want, and that one to get in corners, because a chariot will never do that one, where like say if you got a internal corner, that'll get you perps. So much better. And I think as long as you push down on top of that brick and then you push up on the underside of that one, you get a really lovely smooth square joint. It's brilliant. Anyway, let's get this all raked out and brushed. As I said, we're now getting close to leaving off time, so I can't really leave these joints any longer. I'd like to leave these for about another 30 minutes to be honest, just to dry out a little bit more, but unfortunately it's not going to happen, because I will be well on my way home by then. But yeah, right, so we'll get this raked out tomorrow. Well, tomorrow, let's say we've got spring point, which is that little arrow up there. So we've got about another 6 course on there, and then we'll jump down and do the same on the far end. And then I will get started on setting the arches out, and Mikey will come in. Mikey at the moment is cutting all these for us, and River and Tom like smoothing them, shaping them up. So Mikey's going to get off the cutter and he's going to be on here with Jake on the inside, and like I said, I'll set the arch centers up, because obviously we've got three lovely 3-centered arches going between these stanchions. So we're up to spring point on there. Obviously we finished that pier before, so this is the first of the 2 central piers. So we've just been working on this one, and we're going to have to do a lot of buffing up on that, and then obviously we did say before that we're going to get some SBR with some dust and a little bit of mortar just to stain them up, just so they look a little bit more in keeping with that. So we're going to do a little test panel first before we attempt to do all of it, and that's basically where we are. So obviously we're going to start this one as soon as we finish. We've got another let me see, yeah, it's 2 course on top of that to spring point, and then we'll get this one done, and then it will be over here making all these up and setting all the striking points out, and then cutting all the ones on the tight radius, and we'll just use like normal bricks on there. It's only going to be half brick bullnose. It's going to be tricky because it's got to be bonded obviously as it goes over, so we're going to have that Flemish header and stretcher on the soffit as we go over, but it does mean that when we have the header, like this one here, so this on the soffit, but that one's just going to want to roll off the arch centre, so we're going to have to make provision on the arch centre on the back and the front to stop that happening. So you can see that a lot of these stick out a little bit, so we're going to have to go over with a little grinder and rub them again before we stain them up. So a little bit of work to do on once we've got the arches in. But yeah, it's been fun, been good, we're enjoying it.